Before we get started, I just want to remind everybody that no new items will be heard by the Design Review Historic Preservation Commission after 10, unless the commission by majority vote decides to do so. And if time constraints don't allow us to hear any items, the commission through the city will set up a special meeting as soon as possible to get that item heard by the commission. So at this time, I'd like to do the call to order. Christina, could you do the roll call, please?
Sure. Commissioner Tipple.
Present.
Commissioner Burke.
Here.
Commissioner Cormany.
Here.
Commissioner Randolph.
Present.
And Chair Johnson.
Here.
Thank you.
Great. Okay, then moving along, comments from the public. Are there any comments from any audience members on items that are not appearing on tonight's agenda? Christina?
No, there's no public comment and there's no one as an attendee that would like to speak.
Okay, perfect. Okay, then we will move down to our little notice about participating in the commission meetings in the times that we're in. In order to minimize the spread of the COVID-19 virus, the City of Sonoma has provided multiple alternatives to viewing the Design Review Historic Preservation Commission meetings. These alternatives allow the city to adhere to the social distancing requirements and also follow the Governor's Executive Order N2920, which also suspends certain requirements of the Brown Act and provide numerous ways for the public to still be involved, even though we're not having live meetings. Viewing meetings online, you're able to view meetings online here, live stream through the city civic portal at sonomacity.civicweb.net and also through the YouTube channel. You can submit comments by email through the public comment at sonomacity.org address. Prior to the meeting, as public correspondence per the city standard practice, any comments received prior to the commencement of the meeting will be uploaded to the public correspondence folder on the city civic web portal, which is sonomacity.civicweb.net/filepro/documents/25498, and available for review by the public and the commission. It will not be read during the meeting. During the meeting, as a public comment, if you wish your comments to be read into the record, please submit an email at publiccomment@sonomacity.org after the chair calls the meeting to order and prior to the close of the public comment on that item on the agenda. Virtual participation by Zoom conferencing is also available. You'll just need to download the Zoom application on either your smartphone or computer. To join via Zoom, our Zoom code is 980-299-59654. If you don't have a computer or a smartphone, you can still participate. You can call various numbers, which are also listed on the city's website. The chair will request the public comment during the public comment period on the agenda during each public hearing and the regular calendar item. Once the chair has announced the public comment period, please do one of the following. Using a computer or smartphone, click on raise hand feature in the webinar controls, and this will notify city staff that you would like to make a comment. At that time, city staff will unmute you and your microphone, or unmute your microphone when it's your turn to provide public comment. Notice you'll have up to 3 minutes to make that comment. Once your public comment is ended, you will be muted again. If you're using a hard line, you can dial *9. This will notify city staff that you have raised your hand for public comment, and the same process will be adhered to. They'll unmute you, you'll make your comments, and then they will mute you again. If you don't want to provide public comment live and you want to still make a comment, you can do so again at publiccomment@sonomacity.org. And let's see, I think that's it. a little bit out of order because I'm on a new computer and I just lost my agenda on the screen. So I'm going to the I'm going to the hard copy until I figure this out. So we'll now move on to public comments, review and acceptance of the agenda. Are there any commissioners that would like to make any changes to tonight's agenda?
No.
Seeing none, then Christina, could you do the roll call vote for accepting tonight's agenda, please?
Yes, Commissioner Burke,
Aye.
Commissioner Randolph,
Yes, aye.
Vice Chair Cormany,
Aye.
Commissioner Tipple,
Aye.
and Chair Johnson.
Aye.
The motion is approved 5-0.
Great. Is there any late correspondence, Christina?
No late correspondence was received.
Terrific. Okay, so we will now move down to the consent calendar on the agenda. Item 6.1, to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of November 17th, 2020. Are there any changes that need to be made by the commission? Okay, seeing none, then can we have the roll call vote to approve tonight's agenda? Or to approve the draft minutes, I'm sorry. Is there a motion to approve the draft minutes as submitted?
I
I
move
move we, go ahead.
to approve the consent calendar as submitted.
Second,
Terrific. Okay.
Commissioner Burke,
Aye.
Commissioner Randolph,
aye.
Vice Chair Cormany,
Aye.
Commissioner Tipple,
Aye.
and Chair Johnson.
Aye,
The motion is approved 5-0.
great. Okay, so let's move down to item 7.1, which is the demolition of a single-family residence by the Overway Partners. Christina, could we have the report, please?
Sure, I'll take it from here. This is
Oh,
an
sorry.
application for demolition of a 1,081 square foot single-family residence and design review of a new 3,080 square foot single-family residence. The project's located on Patten Street between 5th Street East and 4th Street East. The project site has an area of 10,080 square feet. It's currently developed with a single-family home and a detached garage. The property is located within the historic overlay zone. And demolition of any structure over 50 years old is subject to review and approval of this commission. Here's an existing site plan showing the main residence and the garage. And in September of this year, the owner commissioned ADP Preservation to prepare a historic resource evaluation of the property to assess the historic character of the property. And the report found that the property does not meet the criteria for listing on the California Register of Historic Resources and is not a historic resource as defined by CEQA and not a historical resource as defined by CEQA. The city regulations for demolition permits rely heavily on the criteria for listing on the California Register of Historic Resources in determining whether a property is historically significant and can be demolished. If this commission determines that the residence does not qualify as a historic resource under CEQA and can make the findings, then the demolition may be approved. If the commission chooses to approve the demolition of the residence, the commission may also recommend that the buildings not be demolished until building permits for the replacement structure have been issued, and that the inside and outside of the residence is photo documented and submitted to the Sonoma League for Historic Preservation in the city of Sonoma. If the commission would like to include this condition, you need to make that statement during the motion. With regard to design review, the project involves constructing a new 3,080 square foot replacement residence, a new swimming pool, new driveway, a trellis, and a walkway. And for projects that are subject to discretionary review by the Planning Commission, this commission is responsible for reviewing the elevation details, colors, materials, and making a recommendation to the Planning Commission. So the project is consistent with the zoning requirements for setbacks, coverage, site coverage, FAR, and building height. But in this zoning district, garages shall be set back 20 feet from the front of the primary structure. And the proposed garage is not set back from the front of the residence. And therefore, a variance is going to be required to be reviewed and approved by the Planning Commission. The design of the new residence is intended to be compatible with the surrounding neighborhood and designed to employ a contemporary design style with a flat roof, smooth plaster finish, steel fascias, and an aluminum window system. Rainier fixed operable window systems are proposed, and the front door frame is manufactured by Rainier's and composed of the same aluminum material and bronze in color. The actual panel design has not been selected yet. However, the manufacturer information does include several options, or 2 options. The applicant is considering option 1 and option 2. The roof material is proposed in the form of a PB roof system, PVC roofing, and membrane material. And while colors for single family residents are not subject to this commission, the applicant has indicated that a smooth plaster finish siding will be light gray, and the windows and door frame will be bronze. So there are certain demolition findings and design review findings that this commission will need to make in order to approve the application. And staff is recommending that the design review commission recommend the Planning Commission approve the demolition permit and design review application to allow the demolition of the single family residence and construct a new residence subject to findings and conditions of approval. And that concludes staff's report. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Wendy. Are there any questions for staff by the commission?
I did have one question, Wendy.
Yes.
In the documentation, staff report says that the property's not in, that it is in the historic overlay. And Alice Duffy's report says that it is not. So that, I don't know that that's just a typographical error or what, but.
Oh, yeah, let me just verify here really quick.
Hers is down, it's down in like page, or I wrote it down somewhere. In her, it's of our document, it's page 64. And she says that it's not in the overlay, but
Oh,
our
I'm
staff.
sure that was just an oversight by Alice Duffy. The property is located in the historic overlay zone.
Okay. And then my other question, I think I'll reserve for the presentation.
Okay, well, we'll go ahead and promote Alice, Chad, and Joe, and Anastasia. So let's see. So they should be able to share their screen and share their video and answer any questions the Design Review Commission has and make their presentation. So it looks like someone has shared their screen.
It's Joe.
Oh, that's a cute picture.
I'm here if anybody has any questions, or if you wanted, Alice, do you want to start?
Hello, everybody. It's nice to see you. Happy 2021.
Hi,
Yes,
Alice.
I raised my hands. Typo. It is in the historic overlay. I apologize for that.
Okay.
I'm not sure that I'm the right lead hitter on this, if we want to talk about the project overall or the historic components of it. So I might defer to Chad.
Okay. Yeah, I'll get started out. My name's Chad Overway, architect, 630 Austin Avenue. Good evening to everybody. Thank you for the opportunity for presenting the project this evening on behalf of the client, although Joe and Angela are here. Just a quick overview. They've owned the property for over 15 years and hired our firm to design the house about a year ago or so. There are just a few things I wanted to cover. On the very last page of my narrative, there is a map. And the map is, for some reason, electronically ended up showing up, but it doesn't need to be there. It's from the Austin Street project. So
Yeah.
my apologies.
Thank you.
So you can just throw that away. And second, realize that sometimes it's difficult to understand the essence of how the exterior elevations look. So we hired Hank Schultz, who's a longtime Sonoma architect and renderer, who I've known for over 30 years. So he generated a rendering that shows a basic intent of the project and the color scheme. And then in addition, the third item is we sent out copies, or a copy of the letter to 11 of the adjacent properties owners, so they'd have an idea what was the project was about, and to clarify any questions. We only heard back from one homeowner, the folks on 4th Street, who talked about the relationship of the house to their property line and voiced their excuse me, support for the project. So in light of that, as you probably remember me from any account, so we finished the house at 630 Austin Avenue with great success and a good end result. And many of the people that walk by always love to take pictures. And that's actually how we met Joe and Angela. We invited them into our home. They fell in love with it and asked if I'd be willing to do another one. And of course I did say yes. And so we're excited about building another interesting home in the east side. And hopefully they'll be able to enjoy it for many, many years to come, as Jeannie and I are doing in our home. So I'll turn it over to anybody else.
This is Joe Anastasi. Let me comment a little bit, and I think you saw a picture of my son on the screen when it was shared, as well, together with my guitar lessons. And but in any event, my wife and I and my son, we were walking down Austin Street one evening on our way to dinner downtown, and we happened to walk past 630 Austin, which had been changed. It had been demolished and rebuilt, and we were really kind of stunned by it. So we walked up to the front door, rang the doorbell, and thought we would ask the homeowner to give us a recommendation of the architect. It turned out that it was Chad, who was the owner living there, and he said, "I'm the architect." And so that's when we asked if he would consider helping to design the house for us at Patten Street. Because we've owned this property for more than 15 years, and really like the location and like the layout of the property, but the structure itself was challenging. And I had thought for years that maybe it should be elevated and put a second floor underneath it to figure out where to go with it, and really didn't have any idea what to do. And it was Chad's design from the Austin Street property that kind of intrigued us. And so we decided to move forward with him, but he said that he was busy and we would have to wait. So we waited for, now this is 2 years, we waited for Chad to be ready to present to you all and for us to proceed, because we think this is the right approach for the property and in keeping with the neighborhood and the community. And we would be very pleased to move forward on that basis.
Are there any questions from the commission for any of the attendees?
I have a question for Joe. Is this going to be your primary residence? Is that what you're considering moving into once it's done?
Well, I live in Piedmont, and we have another property on Austin Street, which we have used for weekends and in the summertime for the last 15 or 20 years. And so the idea would be is that the Patten Street property then would become our secondary residence for weekends in the summer. And then as we decide how to move forward with our life between my 10-year-old's educational needs and such going forward, deciding whether or not to move full-time to Sonoma in the long term.
Thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions from the commission?
I have a question, and I think it's for Chad. As usual, we see a beautiful project from Overway, which is always a pleasure to look at. I noticed in your description of the neighborhood, you showed us several pictures of contemporary homes that are cropping up throughout the east side. And I was just wondering if you could talk to us a little bit about, this look. You showed us you showed us 4 or 5 different homes, including your own. I was just wondering if you have thoughts about what's trending on the east side, because this look is different than the kind of visual landscape that overall that we have. And I know you referred to there being quite a mixture of styles, but I'm just curious if what you think about how the whole east side is trending from a visual standpoint. It just would be helpful to hear your view.
Yeah, I think primarily, it's almost client-based.
Yeah.
And as an architect, it's kind of our duty to respond to a client and, design accordingly with what's under the best interest of what we can do. And I think that's probably the primary way that I, work with the client, is to work with them closely and ask them what their, aesthetics are and their lifestyle and what they would like to achieve in the design. And this might have a bit of a more signature component, but after all the 30 years that I've been doing this, I've got to a point where the sustainability of a residence is important, I think, in a long-term access. And 630 Austin was really the very first steel house ever built on the east side. And of course, everybody comments, I'd like to come here in case of an earthquake. And I said, yeah, it was always open. It's a big house. But in reality, we end up, extrapolating a lot of resources, out of that. So my goal was to minimize that. And of course, steel and steel studs and so on and so forth are, pretty much between 90 and 90%, recyclable materials. And so if I could make any contribution in my later years, this is kind of the direction I wanted to lead. And but I think the east side does have a tendency to probably be a little bit more eclectic, and it is a nice area for people to build homes to live in for in a sense, kind of the duration of their lives. And one of the other things that Jeannie and I did here was to make the house fully accessible. So you can walk in. If there was an emergency, you can always get, the EMTs into your home and move around and so on and so forth. So I kind of think about those things in the back of the head. They don't necessarily take the primary thrust of the design, but I do think they're important to address. And so Joe's house is going to be similar. And it is all open and creates a nice environment in the inside. which allows them to eventually live there. If they decide to live there for the rest of their lives, they can do that. So that's kind of the overall goal.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Great, thank you. Are there any other questions from the commission to the applicants? Okay, are there any comments from the public on this particular item?
No, no public comments.
Okay. Okay, we'll close the public comment or the public portion of the agenda item and move back to the commission. And are we going to just talk about the demolition first, and then we'll go? Okay, so let's just move on with the demolition part of it. And let's see, Vice Chair Cormany.
So I would assume that this is just, I mean, obviously it's just a demolition, that we would have another round before they go into actual construction. Is that correct? Or is this our only chance to have any comments upon review?
This is your chance to have comments.
Okay. I mean, I have a couple of technical questions, but they're more specific to construction details than anything. Just curious whether you're going to incorporate PV into the situation and how you're going to heat the pool and some of the efficiencies, because that's my world. So that was one of the questions I had, you know, what kind of mechanicals, and it's not really pertinent to this right now.
So this is Joe speaking. Chad, I'll go first. The pool will definitely be solar heating, and Chad is going to be making a recommendation of a vendor to help us determine the optimal approach for that, including not only solar panels but battery systems as well.
Great, thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Tipple?
I don't have any comments with the demolition. It's pretty straightforward.
Okay, Commissioner Burt?
I agree. I have no issues with the demolition. It's pretty straightforward.
Great. And I concur with everybody about that as well. So if there are no other comments, can somebody are we going to do this in two separate motions?
Michaela's got a hand up.
Okay.
I just had a comment to the chair.
Sure.
On the demolition, I would recommend that we do photo documentation just as part of the motion.
Absolutely, yeah. Okay, would somebody like to make the motion?
I'll do it. So I move that we approve the motion, approve the request for demolition with the stipulation that we have in exterior and interior photo documentation to be submitted to the Sonoma League for Historic Preservation.
Okay, and Michaela, would you add into, I think we need to add in that building permits are in place before?
Yes. And we also request that building permits be in place prior to demo.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Roll call vote, Christina?
Commissioner Burke,
Aye.
Commissioner Randolph,
Aye.
Vice Chair Cormany,
Aye.
Commissioner Tipple,
I
and Chair Johnson.
Aye.
The motion passes 5-0.
Okay, so moving on to the second component of this agenda item, the design review of a new single-family residence application by the Overway Partners. Christina or Wendy, can we have is there a report for that, or?
I just summarized both of them when I gave my
Okay.
report earlier, so.
Okay, all right. So do the applicants have anything they want to say then about this component of the agenda item?
I think most of that was covered by them previously.
Okay, so any comment or any questions by the commission for the applicants on any of the design review for the new single-family residence?
I have one question. And that was, originally I was surprised, it looks like it's a 2-bedroom, 2.5 bath with a study. Is there ever potential for the study to become a 3rd bedroom, or just curious? It's not really relevant, just curious.
This is Joe Anastasi. The study can always be converted to a bedroom at some future time.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, if there are no other questions from the commissioners to the applicants on the second component of this item, we will close the public hearing and move back to the commission. Commissioner Randolph?
Thank you, Chair Johnson. Again, thank you to Chad and Joe and Alice for a really thorough application. I think it's always important to say this. It's really helpful when we receive something as clean and clear as what you provided. Personally, I've seen quite a few projects by the Overway group, and I'm confident that this will be another beautiful piece, and it sounds like provides some real opportunities for the family in the future. So I don't have, I'm inclined to approve the application.
Thank you, Commissioner Randolph. Commissioner Burke?
It's a beautiful project, and I want to thank you for the applicant for reaching out to the neighbors. I know that's really important because neighborhood support means a whole heck of a lot. Even in regards to the setbacks and all of that, it falls within the guidelines. I really love the fact that you're putting a 2-car garage. I think that's a huge plus. And I've walked by the Austin property all the time, and I always stop every time and admire it. So I know this will be a beautiful property as well. So I think it's a great project.
Thank you, Commissioner Burke. Commissioner Tipple?
Yeah, I would like to concur with my fellow commissioners. I think it's going to be a beautiful project. I know we're not supposed to comment on this, but I like that the fact that you are going to be using the smooth plaster and using kind of a soft gray. It kind of looks a little bright white in the photographs. So I'm happy to hear that because I think that'll blend a little bit better into the neighborhood. I like the indulgent setbacks. I always think that looks fantastic. So yeah, I think it's going to be a great project.
Perfect. Thank you, Commissioner Tipple. Vice Chair Cormany?
You know, it looks like there's been a great deal of consideration in the project. Obviously, there's been a lot of thought process. I think building homes with 1st floor masters in our aging population community is a really good idea. So overall, I think it's gonna be a nice project. I have no complaints.
Thank you. I also agree, and I like that it's a 1-level home. It'll fit very well there. And again, as Commissioner Burt commented, having neighbors supporting the project is always really good. And the other projects that have been brought before us by Overway have all been really nice. So I don't see any problems with the direction they're moving at all. So I would concur with everybody. Would somebody care to make a motion on this?
I propose to accept the design as submitted.
Second?
I'll second.
Terrific. Okay. Christina, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Burt,
Aye.
Commissioner Randolph,
Aye.
Vice Chair Cormany,
Aye.
Commissioner Tipple,
Aye.
and Chair Johnson.
Aye.
The motion is unanimously approved 5-0.
Terrific.
And just for clarification, this commission was making a recommendation to the Planning Commission to approve the demolition and the design review. And also you would like the building permit for the replacement structure to be issued prior to demolishing the structure, and also to have the property photo documented and submitted to the city and the league.
Yes.
Great.
Thank you, Wendy.
Awesome. Okay. Good luck with the project and thank you. Number 8 on our agenda is items up for discussion. Christina, are there, or Wendy, are there any items?
No.
Okay. Issues and updates?
Well, the only issue update I have is that at our next meeting, we'll be electing a new chair and vice chair. So you might want to think about who you'd like to nominate. And I'm not sure if that meeting is going to be in February or March. Right now, we don't have any items scheduled for February, but that, of course, could change.
Okay.
That's it.
All right, comments from the commission, and I'll wait, but I have a question I wanted to ask Wendy. But anybody else? No, I'm just curious about the structure that Pangloss has erected, and in long term, what the plan is for the street there.
Sure. So the city council approved a temporary street closure for that portion of First Street East. And Pangloss and Maya have both been using it, well, when we weren't in lockdown, to serve for outdoor seating. And Pangloss got an encroachment permit for a temporary structure. I believe they can have that up until October of 2021, unless it's extended. And it is a temporary structure, and they know that they'll need to take it down when this COVID is over, and hopefully it's sooner than later. Unless the city council approves allowing parklets to remain, but no decisions like that have been made yet. But I do know that it's a big structure. It's your attention.
I'm all for whatever it takes to help support businesses in town. I just thought that was pretty massive.
Yeah.
And pretty permanent looking.
Chris, incidentally, I was walking the other day and the guys were outside working, and exactly what Wendy said was that, till October, unless they get an extension. And when it first started happening, I was kind of concerned because I thought it was attached to the historic side of that building, which they did so much work on to expose all that beautiful stone and all that. But it isn't. You see, it's a really solid structure, but it is not attached. So anyway, that, it clearly can go away if needed. But I know, and I'm with you. I totally support anything we can do to keep our businesses going, and everyone's working so hard, trying so many different things.
Yeah, that was just, I thought because of the historic nature of where we are, and just to see that come up, and I felt like we were a little bit slighted because we took a little bit of a role and input, but I'm happy for them, and I'm glad that they're able to do whatever they can to keep going. So that's all I had a question about. Anybody else?
No?
No? Okay, well, good to see everybody again. Hopefully maybe next month. If not, we'll see each other in March. And with that, I will call the meeting adjourned.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks, everyone.
you guys.
Bye.
Have a good night.
Maybe we'll all be vaccinated by then.
Yeah.
Yeah.